Hi, Grandma Abuela here. Today I want to talk about how we read stories when we're reading to children who are a little bit older, especially if we're reading something like a Dr. Seuss book. Everybody seems to love Dr. Seuss. I think it's because the pictures are funny, the storylines are funny. Sometimes they don't even have to have a storyline, but they're just fun and there's a good rhyming rhythm that's going on there. And kids and adults both seem to really enjoy Dr. Seuss. However, there is a way to read Dr. Seuss so that the story actually flows better and so that the kids enjoy it more. Let me talk about some of the things, first of all, that you do not want to do. First of all, don't read the book like this. And I'm just going to turn up to a random page. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam, I am. How many of you have had a teacher that read to you like that? No fun. You want to see the pictures. And so that's why if you see any of my videos, you'll see that I am holding the book up like this as I read the words so that the kids can see the pictures. When I used to read to kids in my class, I would always tell them, don't sit over here on this side of me because this is the hand that I hold my book in. And if you're sitting over here, you might not be able to see the pictures. And so they would sit back a little bit and they'd come around me and they'd just sit around me so that they could hear the story and see the pictures. They like to see the pictures. If there was a lot of detail, maybe sometimes I'd bring the picture a little bit closer, let them come closer so they could see things. But for the most part, it worked out really good to do it like this. The next thing you don't want to do is you don't want to read flat and boring. You don't want to be like this. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. That's so boring. You also don't want to read too fast. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, some I am. This is not a contest to see who can get through the book the fastest. I've done that with my daughters. We've taken a Dr. Seuss book and we've read it to see who can read through the book the very fastest. And that's fun to do with your friends. But it's not what you want to do when you're reading to a child. In fact, we had my little 4-year-old grandson there with us and he got bored pretty quick. We were reading a Dr. Seuss book that he liked, but he was pretty bored because we were just reading it as fast as we could. The other thing, and this is a real killer for any story, you don't want to stumble on the words. You don't want it to sound like this. I would not like the, wait. I would not like them here or where, wait, no. I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I would not like them anywhere. You don't want to repeat yourself. You don't want to stumble on words. Now, if you watch my videos, you're going to see that I stumble on words, and sometimes I correct myself. Sometimes I don't. I've made a couple of mistakes in my videos, and where I've left a word out, but it didn't change the meaning of the story. One time I said the word because instead of cause, and so it maybe disrupted the rhyme scheme just a titch, but not enough to make a difference. And so I didn't go back and correct myself. I just went ahead and let the story flow. So unless it's a major mistake, you don't need to correct yourself. But my advice is that you practice. It's going to be difficult to read any book out loud if it's the first time you've ever read the book. My advice to everybody is read the book once to yourself silently and then read the book again out loud. My poor daughter, my youngest, actually all of my kids, I used to take books and I would read them out loud to my kids here at home before I would take them to work to read to my students. So my kids ended up being the guinea pigs for a lot of books. If you don't have someone to read to, then just read it out loud to yourself or to your teddy bear if you want to. I don't know. I did not always, I used to not be a good reader out loud. I was always a good reader silently. But I was one of those kids when I was in elementary school that when the teacher called on me to read, all of the other students in the class would do that whole eye roll and the sigh because I was such a slow, tedious reader. So they'd say, hey, Kim, your turn to read. And you could just see the kids going, oh, because I was not a good reader. And I recognized that, and it was embarrassing to me because I was actually in the top reading group. I was a really, really good reader, but not out loud. So I remember the summer between my 5th and 6th grades of school, I had an anthology book. It was a book of stories. It was one of those old books that they use in school that they'd gotten rid of because they'd bought a new set of textbooks and one of my older siblings had brought it home. And I sat outside in the backyard all summer long reading those stories out loud. And the more I read out loud, the better I got at reading out loud. As an adult, whenever at work, whenever something needed to be read out loud for a presentation or something, a lot of the teachers would say, "Hey, Kim, we want you to be the one to read out loud." That's because I had practiced so much. And even now, I still practice these books. I don't just come in cold reading to you for these videos. I've practiced them. I know these books well enough that I can read them. Now, am I perfect? No, but that's okay. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be smooth. The last thing that I would say is don't just be flat. Make it into a story. Use your facial expressions, and you'll notice that I use my facial expressions, even though it's about the book. There's facial expressions that I use, so if the kids glance over at me, I'm still drawing them into that story. And I try to put some fun into the book itself. I try to tell it like a story. So even though this is a rhyme, and rhyming books are the hardest ones to do this with, even though it is a rhyme, I am not going to let myself get caught up in the rhythm of the book. I'm going to tell it as a story, even if that means that sometimes I don't pay as much attention to the rhyme as I do to the story. So let me go ahead and read. Well, actually, I'm going to end there because I want to do the actual reading of the story on a separate video so that this can be broken up into 2 segments. But I hope that that helps you. Let's just recap on that. Practice, that's a big one. Don't get caught up in a rhyme scheme. Get caught up in the story. Be animated. Let your face show some emotion as you read. Don't be flat as you read. Make it a story for the kids so that it's interesting. And also, show the pictures to the kids. Don't do this thing. They don't want to stare at this. They want to see this. They want to see it as you're turning the pages. Let them see those pictures. And if you can't do that, then practice it until you can. Get into a position that's comfortable for you. And it's fine to tell the kids, hey, don't sit over here because you won't be able to see the pictures. That's just fine. And some books are easier to do this with, but practice being able to do this because it makes it so much more enjoyable for the kids. If you'll look, you'll find Green Eggs and Ham Part 2, How to Read to Children, and then you can see me showing you, demonstrating how to actually read this book, Green Eggs and Ham, to a group of older children.